Of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. My name is James Red, along with Matt Peterson, and the 2019 final day of the SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Championship has begun, and you see the quietness of the Hornets. They're quietly trying to make their push toward regaining the SWAC championship that went to Prairie View A&M last season. They just wrapped up the 4x100 meter dash with a winning time that was rather impressive of 39.81. Matt, it was a situation in which a lot of people thought that Alabama State wasn't going to match their top time coming in, but they were able to do so today.
Yeah, outstanding. They held off. Very close finish. Jackson State finished 12 hundredths of a second behind them. Their second place time was 39.93. Prairie View A&M was about a second behind them. So a great opening meet, and I love our vantage point, James. We are right around the first turn, so we have a really good view of how the race is beginning, and we have the teams right behind us under the tents, including Alabama State, the favorite. So we can hear cheering, and it's a nice juxtaposition of what are we hearing, what are they seeing, and how are we understanding these meets as they happen, because you kind of get to hear from different parts of the field as we see the medal ceremony.
And the medal ceremony going on right now for the women's 4x100 meter, in which the defending champion Alabama State Hornets was victorious with a winning time of 45.02, followed by Alabama A&M and also Prairie View A&M. Team title today will be rather intense on the women's side. Prairie View A&M is doing a lot in the field, particularly in the long jump and triple jump, to try to match the team of this decade in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, which is Alabama State. They're going for their 9th straight outdoor title. That is impressive on any level of track and field.
Absolutely. What a run. Almost a decade as champions for Alabama State. And we know their big three in the sprints, Chamonix Hackney, Nia Jack, and Alani Toussaint. They are the fearsome threesome among the sprinters.
No doubt about it. They did it on the indoor side in the 60-meter dash, able to get a lot of points for the Hornets. And once again, that point total is transferring over into the outdoors. And right now, let's take a look at the women's standings after 2 days of competition going into today's finals. And you see the point total right now.
Grambling State at the top, 55 points. University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, 14 points behind Prairie View A&M, tied for second. A lot can change this afternoon.
Alabama State sitting there comfortably at 4. And the reason why I say that, Richie Bean, their head coach, is comfortable knowing that when he started his program at Alabama State, they were normally strong in the field, not very good in the sprints. But now they are really dominating in the sprint, so they know today, final day, when most of your sprint finals happen, they will be able to get a large number of points. Let's take a look at the men's side after 2 days.
The women's side, not the men, excuse me, James.
And you see Alabama State right now doing it in the field in the past 2 days, and you see some other teams creeping up.
Yeah, Alabama State with a healthy lead, Southern and Grambling State, but a lot can change in the afternoon, as we know.
And just to remind everyone, we are here at a beautiful track here at Prairie View A&M University in Prairie View, Texas. This is an amazing sports complex. The track and field is really one of the tips of the spear when you come to the campus. Obviously, when you drive in, you'll see the fantastic new Panther Stadium. And then behind that is the track and field, softball, baseball, and, of course, soccer. And, Matt, this is a situation in which Prairie View A&M for a long time had been trying to get the facilities. They have it, and it turns out when you get those facilities, championships start to roll in.
Yeah, you had a chance to talk with the Prairie View A&M head coach about this track and how fast it runs, and she was very honest. She said the best athletes want to run on the best track. They want to run on a fast track, and there's a reason that this competition is here year after year.
All right, and I think we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for women. 1,500 meters, which will be starting in a few minutes for A&M University in Prairie View, Texas. James Verrett along with Matt Peterson, and we are ready for our second. Ariane Spann along with Derica Peters, Spann from Alabama State, Pitters from Mississippi Valley State are also favored. This would be an interesting event for Chepkwani because Halima, the Kenyan native, has already won the 10,000 meter, and also she is checked at the 5,000 meter and also placed well in the 3,000 steeplechase, in which she won on yesterday. So now we're awaiting the start of the women's 1,500. And we have a good even start. And all the way in the back is Halima Chepkwani, along with her teammate Naomi Kiprop, but expect them to make a move. Leading the way for Alabama State, Ariane Spann, leading the way for the women's final of the 1,500 meter. Wonderful day if you're a middle distance or a distance runner to run. It is partly cloudy, temperature in the low to mid 80s, not a lot of humidity. Rare sight in Southwest Texas around this time of year.
And that, the 1:20 mark, it's Spann, Mesidor, Jacobs. Alabama State, first two, and then Jacobs of Alcorn State in the front three.
We're starting to see the favorite, Halima Chepkwani, starting to make a move. She's currently in third place. She'll be in the red jersey. I call that Eddie Robinson red for Grambling because he brought that red color to Grambling State. Their traditional colors are black and gold, but he thought red would add a little pop to it, and everyone is bought in, and they've really adapted that to their color scheme. All right, and after 2 laps, we see that Ariane Spann still has the lead, but Grambling is coming on with 2 laps remaining.
Robinson, of course, legendary football coach.
He's legendary every type of coach. I'm not sure exactly all the sports that he coached at Grambling State, but a lot of people don't realize he's from the town of his arch rival. He's a Baton Rouge native, but ended up coaching at Grambling State and having a stellar career.
Sometimes that's how it works.
Oh, yes. And we see Chepkwani right now in second place, leading the way, Ariane Spann, and her teammate Mesidor in third. And it's a battle between second and third between Chepkwani and Mesidor, but leading the way, Ariane Spann. Now, 1,500 now, it's still considered a distance race, but it's more increasingly becoming more of a sprint.
Yeah, and the big decision now is when do you kick? When do you make your push? And I like the lead that Spann has. She looks confident, good body language from her. She's not struggling. It's going to be a big margin to overcome if Mesidor or Chepkwani try to catch her. I like Spann's chances here after 3 minutes. Looking effortless.
Oh, she is having a great pace, very relaxed. And we are on bell lap, and she still has the lead.
Looks like a warm-up for her.
Oh, yes.
Fullest compliment.
Getting a little push now from Prairie View A&M, Sydney Devereaux, who is currently in third place fighting with Mesidor for that runner-up spot. Chepkwani solidly in fourth, but it is Spann's time to shine, and the key is, can she hold on for the last 250 meters?
And now you see the kick. Mesidor and Jacobs increasing their gait, increasing the length of their stride. And we know Spann finished second in the prelims, just less than a second behind the first place finisher.
Spann still trying to hold on, getting some encouragement from her Alabama State teammates. This is where the hard work pays off when you have that final kick, but she is keeping a nice, even, steady pace and extending her lead as the other runners try to catch her.
Yeah, Mesidor pulling away from Jacobs. So right now it looks like Spann, Mesidor, Jacobs, and Spann in control.
Your 2019 unofficial champion, Arian Spann of Alabama State.
4 minutes, 44 seconds.
10 seconds off of her qualifying time. Not bad.
Jacobs, 3 seconds off the pace at 4:47.25. Mesidor in third, 4:49.60.
And with Halima Chepkwani coming in fourth, not bad for her. She performs the triple, winning in both longer distances earlier this week and wrapping it up with the 1,500 meters. That is not bad at all for Grambling, but congratulations as the lead increases or as they catch up with everyone with Alabama State here on the final day.
It's interesting. I had a conversation with Prairie View A&M's head athletic trainer a moment ago, receiving some treatment myself. And I asked about how the event's going, and she said, better today than yesterday. I think yesterday was a very hot day. Mm-hmm. Here in the Southeast Texas area, a lot of these athletes maybe haven't had that full summer day yet, the full heat and humidity. So for some, here on day 3, it's adjusting, getting the fluids, getting rehydrated, getting the carbs back in the diet, and managing the workload.
No doubt about it. Right now, passing us up is the head coach for Alabama State, Richie Bean, and I know he's happy to see one of his middle distance runners able to get the victory. And, you know, our vantage point does give us a little inside peek at the inner workings of a track and field team because the team tents are right behind us. As you can see, they are directly right behind the gate on the backside of the track. And we're getting ready to move on to the men's 1,500 meter. But we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll get you prepared for the men's 1,500 meter. You're watching the 2019 men's and women's track and field outdoor championships right here on the SWAC Digital Network.
Bungalows at our recently acquired West Campus. Grambling State University, enhancing academic profiles since 1901.
2019 SWAC Outdoor Men and Women's Championship right here at Prairie View A&M University. And right now they're showing the winners of the men's triple jump, if I'm not mistaken. And UAPB is champion along with Jackson State and Alabama State. Alabama State right now coming in with the lead for the team title. And right now they're honoring those top 3 finishers, receiving their SWAC championship medals. And obviously a happy time for those young men who were able to do that. Coming up on the track will be the men's 1,500 meters. And for the triple jump, winning was Travis Bibbs, followed by Hyde and Brown. And far off on the distance, you see the competitors for the men's 1,500 meter run. Coming in with one of the fastest times is Hillary Mayo of Texas Southern, and followed up by Joshua Coughlin of Alabama State are your top 2 times coming in. But we all know, Matt, at any given time, anything can happen on the track. But favored right now is Alabama State, and following that will be Texas Southern. And rounding out the field is Gabriel Price of Prairie View, Keyshawn Jarvis of Southern, Hillary Kiprop of Grambling, Tracy Mallory of Prairie View, Hassan Chikwani, his sister, just finished running in the 1,500 meter run, so he'll be competing. Vincent Lagat of Jackson State. We've already talked about Coughlin, Aaron Coach of Grambling, and Kevin Smith of Alabama State, Worthington Moore of Prairie View A&M, and Romero Marshall of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Those are your competitors in the men's 1,500 meter. Record is Michael Watson. His time was 3 minutes, 45.94 in 1980.
And the best preliminary time, Joshua Keffel from Alabama State, be in lane 7.
4:08.83.
So many of these records were set in the 80s. It was a track and field heyday. Oh, I beg your pardon, Hillary Mayo from Texas Southern. Lane 9 is the preliminary favorite, but as we just saw, the preliminary winner doesn't always win on Championship Sunday.
That is correct. And we are almost ready, waiting for the white flag to go up. Once that flag goes up, that will let the runners and the starter know that we have a fair start, and we are off, leading the way. Looks like it'll be a number of individuals, but I know he wants to try to get the early lead.
You mentioned the fair start. I think about yesterday's Kentucky Derby and all the controversy that handled the finish there.
No doubt about it. I was extremely shocked when I saw that they went to video. 145 years that had never happened. Leading the way early on is Romero Marshall of Arkansas Pine Bluff. And we have not seen the leader group break away just yet, but it's still early on. Also right there in second place from Jackson State is Vincent Lengat.
And as we think about a clean start and a clean finish, the final event of last year's track and field championships here in Prairie View, the 1,600-meter relay for the men, there was a trip on the back stretch, and it adjusted the final standings 1, 2, and 3.
No doubt about it, and Prairie View was able to win their first title in 10 years. A lot of elation there, and they think that they can work that magic again with an extremely young squad.
There's a long delay from the end of that event to the announced winners of the team championships. There's about a half hour in between as they sorted out the disqualifications and the final standings.
And Mayo of Texas Southern has finally made his move and assumed the lead. He does have the fastest time coming into the finals of the men's 1,500. Two more laps remaining. Split time approximately 2 minutes. They're at a good pace right now to get in that 4:09, 4:08 time for the 1,500.
Yeah, Mayo's last split was 1:05.16.
65-second quarter is what you want if you want to get a good sub 4:10 1,500.
1:53.68 for Mayo after 2 laps. Much more competitive than the women's event.
Competitive for second and third in that one. Span was able to get that lead and hold on to it. But right now, looks like we've got a 3-person race between Texas Southern, Alabama State, and one more with Alabama State, or a Grambling in Aaron Coach. So 3 schools, Texas Southern, Alabama State, and Grambling. We are on the bell lap, and here comes the push from Alabama State's in Joshua Coughlin. You picked it early, saying that he was going to be the favorite, even though he didn't have the fastest time. He's making a push, and we're going to see if Texas Southern's Mayo can push it. But right now, Coughlin is the one who is breaking away and stretching out his lead beyond 10 meters.
His third lap was the best. 1:05.51 was his split, so he's under 3 minutes through 3 laps.
And now he's expanding that lead to about 20 meters and growing in the back curve. Here comes Joshua. Joshua's climbing the tree of success right here on the final back straightaway, final 110 for Alabama State. Joshua Coughlin is trying to win the 2019 men's 1,500-meter run, and he looks like he has a commanding lead and will pull it off. Alabama State. Joshua Coughlin, fans are cheering in the stands. He's your champ.
4 minutes even, 58 seconds. Romario Marshall finishes second, 4:05.23. And
they said that it was going to be a fast track, and they were not.
Third place, Kashawn Javois from Southern, 4:06.02. And what a final lap for Kaufeld, 1:01.03 after he was at 59 seconds. So he really made his kick for the final 2 laps.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. More points going with Alabama State. They are a little upset that they didn't win this one, and you can see his final push.
Kaufeld knocks 8 seconds off to his preliminary time. He was at 4:08.83 in the prelims. He finishes just over 4 minutes.
Good even push for Joshua, able to run in. And like I said, this is perfect weather for a distance runner. Not too hot, not too cold, and you're able to breathe freely, and he's able to walk away with that championship.
And there was a bit of a breeze today. You can get some stiff winds, but it's blowing across the track. So you're kind of running into the wind on the backstretch, and then a crosswind on the final 100 meters.
And you can see that Joshua's like, okay, I've did it. Now it's time for me to take a load off and relax.
Yeah, these athletes leave it all on the track and field. We've seen after the events them helped off the track by their teammates or by athletic trainers. A moment ago, we had an athlete off to our left, keeled over. They leave it all out there. It's amazing competition here in Prairie View.
No doubt about it, and that's what you want to see. You want to see athletes leaving it all out there because, as they say, this is serious business, and you see right now the runners for Grambling able to cross over, but Joshua's right there in the background drinking his water, trying to relax. He also runs the 5,000, but today is his day as champion of the 1,500. He finished second in the mile indoors, but winning outdoors. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get you prepared for the women's 100-meter hurdle final. You're watching the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Championship from Prairie View right here on the SWAC Digital Network.
www.mbsu.edu today.
And welcome back to a beautiful day in Southeast Texas. For those of us who are based out of Alabama, you think it's all west, but this is Southeast Texas. Closer to Houston, right here at Prairie View. James Verrett along with Matt Peterson. We're bringing you the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Championship. Alabama State trying to make up some points here on the final day to win their 9th straight title if they can hold on. And for the men, they have a commanding lead. Our next event coming up will be the women's 100-meter hurdle. But let's take a look at the ledger for the head coach for the men's and women's program at Alabama State, Richie Bean. He has an impressive number of championships. He's been the head coach there a little bit over a decade, and he's basically had a decade of dominance.
33 total track and field cross-country championships. 9 straight SWAC outdoor track and field titles, as we talked about. Now he's trying to get it done with the men's team.
Correct. The men did not win last year. Dramatic. Prairie View A&M was able to, as they say, rip it out of their hands. And now the Hornets have come in swarms to try to sting their way to obtain that trophy again.
Yeah, and if last year's any indication, it'll be going to be a back and forth. Last year we had 3 teams competing, first, second, third, throughout the afternoon.
And we're ready for the women's 100-meter hurdles. Favored is in lane 4, Shamaria Lovett. Her winning time, her qualifying time, 13.60. Expect her to be pushed by Jasmine Gray of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Her time, 14.10. She's right next to her in lane 3. Good even start. And here comes Lovett. Lovett, after midway, she has the lead and is stretching it out all the way. Shamaria Lovett, once again champion of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Women's 100-meter hurdle, winning time 13 flat. Not bad. They're going to call it officially 13.77, and followed by Cato of Jackson State finishing second, and they're trying to dice out who finished third. Alabama State gets a first and a third, with Ariana Val finishing third, and finishing fourth for Lenia Williams of Prairie View.
Very close at third. 0.02 of a second separate Val from Alabama State and Williams as we see the replay.
Dominating performance by Levitt. You can see she has good pacing, great rhythm, and a good push at the end. No doubt that she was the champion. And, you see an athlete right there at the very end.
Such a confident stride. She gets that right leg.
Is the champion double over. He won the shot put, and Caesar Kemp of Alabama State, he was in the second flight for the men's discus throw, and he is champion for a second day in a row. We did talk to him earlier, and he even said, you know what, I don't even know how I'm going to celebrate, but as long as the team wins, he'll be okay.
Unselfish team first player, and he was rewarded with the first place finish.
And let's take a look at the previous winners from the last 2 days. We do have a list that we want to show our viewers here on the SWAC Digital Network of the previous champions of Friday and Saturday, and we're going to take a look at the men first. And Vincent Lengat, and he was clocked in at 31:59.75, and this is the second year in a row. The amazing thing, he finished nearly 30 seconds ahead of his second place finish of the person that finished with the silver medal. That means that you were out there all by yourself, and you had a great pace.
I remember him from last year. He was a star on this track last year. He does it 2 straight years. 10,000 meters, not easy, and he sort of made it look easy with this 30-second win.
It's more of a mental grind as well as a physical mountain that you have to climb. You got to keep your mind right. We move on to the next winner, the champion. Men's decathlon, we see Sune Rodriguez Weems. He totaled 6,661 points throughout his events, and he won the long jump, pole vault portions of the decathlon. And you know what? He should just get a tattoo there that just says SWAC champion after getting those type of points.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful performance from Rodriguez Weems. Long jump and the pole vault.
Move on to the next one. And in the hammer throw, Miles Dortch, and he set a record 52.25 meters, and he is the back-to-back conference champion representing Arkansas Pine Bluff. And that is an interesting event because not only do you have to have the strength to throw the weighted hammer, but you have to have great feet and good coordination, because you go outside of that ring, it's not going to count.
Good feet. It's a lower body thing. Everyone thinks of your upper body, but any sort of strength exercise, it's your lower body. You think of a quarterback in football or a pitcher in baseball. They get their strength and their balance from their core and what's below their waist.
Let's move on to the next champion from the previous 2 days. In the men's javelin, Miles Dortch, once again for the Arkansas Pine Bluff. He recorded a throw of 56.59, and he has won this for 3 consecutive years. Now, that is mostly a mind game there because you can't come in complacent, thinking, I just got to show up, throw it a little bit, I got it. But he comes in and wins again.
And you see what it means to him. Big smile from him, not resting on his laurels and expecting to win. You can tell what it means to these athletes each and every time. Because you come back, these athletes sometimes get bigger and better, and you're the target on their back. So he's accomplished the three-peat.
Let's move on to the next. And there he is, Caesar Kemp. He won the event with 17.9. We already talked about him, back-to-back outdoor champion, and he also won this indoors. Very humble young man, Caesar Kemp, but all of his teammates say hail to Caesar because he is a quiet champion, but now champion in the shot put and today in the men's discus. We move on to the next champion. And in the long jump, and he is the hardest working man, not necessarily in show business, but definitely in the long jump. James. He won with a leap of 5 meters, back-to-back champion. Now, this is very, very important for those of you who are not track aficionados. He is ranked in the top 30 nationally in the long jump. Remember, if you have those top 30 jumps or times, you can qualify for regionals, and then once you qualify there, you can possibly go to nationals.
Love your celebratory photo.
And let's take a look at the men's standings after 2 days of events. And once again, we let you know that Alabama State with 69 points, Southern with 43, and tied for third is Grambling Prairie View. Prairie View is the reigning champion, and followed by Jackson State. So now we're getting ready for the men's 100-meter hurdles.
And a slight update, Alabama State at 74.5 points, including today. Prairie View at second with 55, Southern at 43.
And the white flag is up. Favored right now is Azaria Foster. He did it on the indoors, and the key for this is the number of Jackson State athletes. You see all of those white shirts there? They're not there saying that they give up or just showing solidarity for Cinco de Mayo. This is altogether the Jackson State 5 who have come in to try to dominate the men's 110 hurdles. Leader of the pack, Azaria Foster in lane 4 with a time of 13.8, but it's safe to say that Jackson State has a good chance to finish 1, 2, 3.
Jackson State 5, I like that.
I'm not going to say the Jackson 5, copywritten, yes, but Jackson State 5 is not. I don't want any of the Jackson family calling me. You know, they did HBO. They're like, we're going to get you. No, not I. Gun is up, and we're ready to begin the men's 110. They don't even call it high hurdles, but once you walk up to those hurdles, it's extremely high.
Yeah, they look smaller on the screen and in person, and when you're over it, as the athlete running the event.
Even start, leading the way in lane 6, Joshua Hilliard. And then here comes Foster. Foster leading the way, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Top 4 finishes for Jackson State. Azaria Foster, your champion, and he is off and running. Time 13.71, followed by Lofton Keys and Joshua Hilliard and Christian Jones. Huge points for the Tigers, huge points for Jackson State.
Indeed, Jackson State entering that event, 42.5 points. Full 30 back of Alabama State, but finishing top 4 really boosts their standing.
We take a look at the race one more time, and it was Hilliard who got out and got over the first hurdle the fastest, but then the pacing of Foster is undeniable, and he's able to get over quickly and stretch out those last few meters, and it is a clean sweep for Jackson State in the top 4 spots. The Big Blue of Mississippi shows and flexes its muscle this afternoon here in Prairie View, Texas. And Jackson State sweeps +1. That's what I call that. It's a sweep +1.
It's a 4-man sweep.
They'll dominate the podium and have one sitting on the side just in case. And we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll get you up to date on the previous champions from the women's previous 2 days, and also get you ready for the women's 400-meter dash. James Redd along with Matt Peterson. You're watching the 2019 SWAC Men's and Women's Outdoor Championship right here on the SWAC Digital Network.
Alcorn. Both knowledge and the character it takes to use it wisely. Alcorn, where knowledge and character matter.
Podium dominated by Jackson State, but this was extra special for Foster, who's the champion.
Yeah, Foster sets a college best time. His previous best, 14 seconds flat, which he accomplished in March of this year at the Al Schmidt Bulldog Relays Invite. He beats that by nearly 0.3 of a second, with his winning time today, 13.71.
Not bad, and as you can see, the race, as we show you a replay one more time, dominated by Jackson State. They not only sweep the podium, they also win 4th place. Dominating performance by a dominating program in Jackson State. And next up on our track will be the women's 400-meter dash. And right now, let's take a look at the champions from the last 2 days in the Southwestern Athletic Conference Outdoor Women's Championship. Women's 10,000-meter, Halima Chipkwani, she finished with a time of 40 minutes, 1.87 to win the event. And remember, 2017, she was the most outstanding women's track performer, reason being she runs in all of the distance races for Grambling. On to the next. Women's heptathlon, Sophia John scored 5,725 points. As we move on, in the long jump, Katherine Jackson and her leap of 5.99 meters wins her the gold medal. She set a personal best in the victory, but more importantly, it was a clean sweep for Prairie View A&M. They won 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That is huge if they're going to try to rip the title that has been solidly in the hands of Alabama State's women.
Yeah, it's fun when they can set a personal best because it's hard at the end of the season with all the fatigue on day 3 of the competition to see these athletes and how they build to something. So all credit to Jackson for setting a personal best at 5.99. And interesting, as we look ahead to the shot put
for Mississippi Valley, Typha Saunders, she had a throw of 15 meters to win the gold medal. She also won the event in indoors. A lot of people don't hang out for the women's shot put, but they had a large crowd when she was throwing because she does put on a show there in the ring for the shot put. And we move on to the next. And in the steeplechase, and I think we may have some video of this one if we have it prepared. Halima Chipkwani won the event 11 minutes, 52 seconds, and she was the runner-up in 2018. And we'll come back later and show you that video of her running the steeplechase. That is for the those who are not necessarily track aficionados. It's very interesting to see it because not only do you have to go over hurdles, you have to go through the water hurdle, the water jump, which is always entertaining, and she's able to master that. And the young lady from Kenya able to win another gold medal in SWAC competition. We move on to the next. And in the men's steeplechase, just to round off the steeplechase, Luis Del Real, his finish time 9 minutes 57.101 seconds, and his first win in his collegiate career. Now, you know that was an emotional time for him, always finishing second and finally making first.
Huge for Del Real, the TSU athlete. Now, second indoor, does one better in the outdoor. And we have talked about the personal best, and sometimes you bring out the best in these athletes. We mentioned Azaria Foster beat his personal best by nearly 0.3 of a second. He had to as his teammates pushed him. Lofton Keys finished second at 13.94. Josh Hilliard finished third, 13.98. So if Foster had just matched his previous personal best at 14 even, he would have finished third today. But he beat it by 0.3 of a second with help from his teammates Keys, Hilliard, and Jones.
We are ready to get back onto the track, and we're preparing for the women's 400-meter dash. This is an event that is relatively dominated by Prairie View. They have 3 runners in the final, and they do have the fastest time coming in with Alicia Carter with a 54.96, followed by from Southern Teralicia Mercedal with a time of 55.28, and then Mitchell from Prairie View 55.63 to round off the top 3. And you see the standings for women. Grambling State with the lead with 55 points, tied for second. Now remember, this was after 2 days, but we already know that Alabama State has been able to gain at least 18 points by winning the 4x1 and also the women's 1,500 meter, but Grambling also getting points in that 1,500 meter. So now they're announcing the lane assignments for the women's 400-meter dash, and the fastest time coming in, Alicia Carter. This is her home track. And you see in lane 2, Mitchell from Prairie View A&M. And in lane 3, Teralicia Mercedal of Southern. She has the second fastest time coming in, and in lane 4, that's the lady, the center of attention, Alicia from Prairie View, Alicia Carter, with a time of 54.96.
And just to add to that, the most recent standings up to date to this moment, Prairie View A&M at 112.5 points, Alabama State 19 points back at 93.5, Grambling is third at 73, UAPB fourth at 59. That's on the women's side.
So this race will be crucial for Prairie View if they want to try to dethrone the hive of the Hornets. And in lane 8, Kamaya Knight of Arkansas Pine Bluff to round off the field, along with Terrian Davis and Nicole Haroon of Texas Southern. We're ready to start the women's 400-meter dash. And we do have a fair start. And way out in lane 8, Knight trying to maintain, but remember, that curve will be the equalizing factor.
.200 meters left.
And right now, Ajina Williams and Alicia Carter trying to battle it out. Ajina Williams from Mississippi Valley leading Carter. May have an upset as we come down the final 100 meters. Can Carter push it and win on her home track? Will it be an upset from Williams? It is coming all the way down. Williams, but Carter edges her out to get the title. Alicia Carter from Prairie View A&M, followed by Williams, 54.13, and right on her edge of her, Ajina Williams with 54.19, followed by Sydney Mitchell Jemison with 54.92, and Mercedal finishing fourth. But huge points for the Panthers.
James, that's the fastest and tightest finish we've seen here on day 3. 0.06 of a second separating Alicia Carter of Prairie View from a Johnny Williams of Mississippi Valley State. And it was just enough from Carter, who was gassed at the finish. And you could see the arm outstretched of Williams trying to overtake her.
No doubt about it. And she had her halfway through that backstretch. And you see the final, Williams has her, but then you see Carter pushing, pumping her arms, fighting fatigue, able to use the fast track to her advantage, stretches it out, and look at that arm, just like you talked about. She's trying to find a way to get across the line before Carter, but unable to, as Carter walks away with the win. And look, you see Williams, they're carrying her off right now. She left it all out there on the track this afternoon.
Photo finish, beautiful stuff there from Carter and Williams. And not far back, Sydney Mitchell, she was also under 55 seconds, so a well-earned third place.
But huge points for Prairie View A&M. They get 16 points, and you add more. They get 20 points out of that one event, and we see it one more time.
Now this was the push down the backstretch, the final 100 meters as they go into the curve. They're going into the wind right there, the wind blowing into their face, and then a side wind as they round the stretch. But this was a 2-horse race up front. She's leaning in for a better view.
Everybody was leaning in
yes.
on a better view on that one, simply because you have the home-standing Alicia Carter trying to hold on and bring home a championship for Prairie View. And for Jana Williams, she's trying to bring home a championship for Mississippi Valley, which for a long time they really haven't been that dominant in track and field, but that was huge for their program to finish second, basically away from home.
And as you mentioned, 20 points in that event alone. So Prairie View A&M on the women's side has increased its lead. They're at 132.5 points. Alabama State, 93.5. 29 points off the pace. Grambling in third at 73.
And before we get to the men's 400 meter, we're going to take a look at one of our events from earlier today. Remember Halima Chipkwani? I told you that she won the steeplechase. We have that video right now. And this is the start of the race. And remember, they have to go through obstacles a little bit different than running a regular hurdle. This one you can step on and step over. And all the competitors go over it. Some just tip over it just a little bit. But then here comes the water hazard. And they say hazard because if you hit too deep, you may fall. I've seen a few do it, but all of them clear the water hazard successfully. And after you hit the bell lap, it finishes up with Halima Chipkwani walking away with the victory. And at the tail end of this, elation and fatigue combination makes you do what? Hit the ground.
Yes.
Congratulations to her. And you see her time, 11 minutes, 52.08, and she was a runner-up in 2018, able to walk away with the champion and her second gold medal in as many days, and she was able to finish fourth in the 1,500 meters. So she's acquiring those points to possibly get most valuable on the track. So now we're ready for the men's 400-meter dash. Fastest time coming in is Christopher Bailey from Mississippi Valley. They were spectacular in indoors this season, and this is a event that Mississippi Valley is favored with Bailey and Davis, sort of like a law firm. Both of those guys doing well, but we're ready to get the start underway. Remember, Prairie View A&M, they have someone in lane 8. This is their home track. You may be surprised if they can get a win here.
Prairie View A&M enters back in third place in the overall standings.
And we have a good, clean start. And our early leader from Prairie View, Damon Cobbs, but expect the Valley twosome of Bailey and Davis to make their move right now in the last 200 meters of the race. And here comes Laval Davis. And two men representing the red, the green, and the white. Mississippi Valley, 1-2, Davis and Bailey. They're not a law firm, but they're a 400-meter tag team dynamo, and they're going to finish 1-2 at least 10 meters ahead of the competition in a two-man race. Christopher Bailey wins. Check that. Laval Davis edges out his teammate Christopher Bailey by a few hundredths of a second. Laval Davis is your 2019 champion, a time of 46.39. Christopher Bailey finishes second at 46.46, followed by McCoy of Southern University.
Well, Mississippi Valley State will gain some much-needed points. They had 2 points entering that competition. They will climb with those results.
Those young men made it a two-man race, as you see the replay, and they make a push. You see Davis and Bailey pushing each other that they normally do in practice out there in Ena Bena, Mississippi, and able to push. This is most likely a cool day for them because it's hot out there in the valley. And coming down the final 100, it is a two-man race led by Davis, who edges out his teammate right at the tape. Laval Davis beats Christopher Bailey right on the finish line to walk away with the 2019 championship medal.
And James, that's a new college best for Davis. His previous best was more than a second more at 47.65, set at the Memphis Tiger Invitational just a week ago. But he beats it by a second as he wins first place.
Great job by Mississippi Valley State. And we're seeing the Alicia Carter from Prairie View A&M getting the trophy. Important here, if you're a fan of the purple and gold, those are much-needed points as Alabama State still trying to hold on to that trophy that they've had in their possession for almost a decade. And those are the results after day two. And as we go to break, you can take a look at those standings. We'll take a short break and get you ready for the next event, which is always one of the featured events on the track, the women's 100-meter dash. You're watching the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Championship from Prairie View A&M University right here on the SWAC Digital Network. Welcome back to the 2019 SWAC Women's and Men's Outdoor Championship right here from Prairie View A&M University on their state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line, world-famous track. This is where the 2016 Olympic team did their last training before they went over to Rio and brought home the gold. Our next event will be the women's 100-meter dash. James Verrett along with Matt Peterson. And Matt, your first thoughts on what you have seen so far?
This is my second year doing this, and a lot of similarities, how close these races have been, apart from a few. But generally, this has been a very competitive first hour of the track portion of this. And, the standings are wide open. Alabama State on the men's side with a 9-point lead over Jackson State. Prairie View still lurking, but a lot can be made on the backstretch with the relays. And on the women's side, healthy lead for Prairie View A&M. They're currently up by close to 40 points. It's 132.5 for Prairie View A&M. Alabama State at 93.5. Grambling further off the pace at 73. So the men's team championship seems more in doubt.
Now we're taking a look at the women's 100-meter dash. Now, this is very important. Alabama State has their trifecta. Nia Jack, Charmonique Hackney, Ulani Toussaint. And they also have Zaria Whitaker from Alabama State. Now, the important person here will be Devin King from Prairie View. If she can figure out a way to get points or split the points and stop the sweep of Alabama State that extend the lead and take points that people the team in black and gold from Montgomery to acquire in this event. This is where they pick up the events. Now we're getting ready to start the event. Look in lane 4 for Sharmony Hackney, along with lane 5 with Nia Jack. And good even start. TSU leading the way, but coming on strong, Nia Jack. Nia Jack is the winner, and just as I told you, Devin King able to get a huge second place, 11.78, and they're still trying to decipher who is won third. Third is Ulane Toussaint, and fourth is Nia Williams from Southern, but huge points taken away. Not running in the women's 100 meter is Sharmony Hackney. She was supposed to be in lane 4. We do not have her finishing, and that is huge. And look at the emotion right there from Prairie View A&M's athlete at the tail end, but let's look at the replay.
100-meter dash, no margin for error. And just enough pulling away at the last moment for the victory, Nia Jack. You gave her the drum roll before the match, and she fills.
And you see the emotion right there for Devin King, the young lady from Prairie View A&M. The emotion for her is she was able to get a second place, but on top of that, the amount of points, those 8 points, taking away 8 points from the reigning champion Alabama State is huge as you get closer to the team title. Little fatigue right there, and you can see the trainers right there taking her off to make sure that she's okay. But she is one of the ones who left it all out there on the track this afternoon. Huge points there for Prairie View. A lot of points for Alabama State, and as you see the end, you see Nia Jack elated because she gets her first outdoor 100-meter champion. Not sure why Hackney did not run in this one. She did have the fastest qualifying time, but she did not run in this event. Not sure if she's injured or not. If she is injured, that is a huge blow to Alabama State because they will need her in other events. Now we're ready for the men's 100-meter dash as we try to stay on time. And remember, points are huge. We saw Jackson State acquire a number of points in the men's 110 high hurdles. Now for the 100-meter dash, this is a battle between the Hornets and the Tigers. Leading the way will be Norris Spike with a finishing time of 10.38 in the prelims. Spraggins of Alabama State with 10.40. But look for Jackson State. Justin Thomas and Jalen Bell, they're in lane 1, 2, and they also have Felix in lane 7. Let's go for the men's 100-meter dash. Athletes still trying to get their hand placements correct for the start. And we have a good start in the gold and white, but leading the way for Alcorn, Braylon Robinson. It was a tight one all the way through. Not sure who pulled that one off. Have to wait to see what the official number will be on that one because that was close all the way around. Still waiting. Spraggins was able to pull it out, 10.35. He is your champion for Alabama State, Kevin Spraggins. Second is Norris Spikes. They have the same time, 1-2 for Alabama State. And third is Jalen Bell with Jackson State. I told you, look out for the Tigers. They were able to get some points. And also, remember, 1/100th of a second separated them, and not exactly sure between Spraggins and Spike because they had identical times.
It does not get closer than this. The top three separated by 1/100th of a second. Fourth place, Thomas, was 300th of a second off the pace. 1 through 8, a range of 10.35 seconds to 10.52. What a competitive men's 100-meter dash here at the SWAC Men's Outdoor Championship.
Huge for all the athletes involved because this one went all the way down to literally 1/100th, possibly thousandths of a second between Spraggins and Spike. But huge points for the Hornets of Alabama State. Jackson State also able to get a third and a fourth, which will help them along in their attempt to get the title. Taking a look at it one more time. Good even start. It looks like Jackson State was able to get an early start, but the domination of Spraggins and Spike able to pull it out in the end. But Jackson State all the way in lane one, able to push it, thought they had the victory, but it was Spike and Spraggins able to pull it off in the very end.
And it's a college best time for Spraggins. He knocks a quarter second off his time. His previous best in the 100 meters, 10.60 at the North Florida Spring Break Invitational in March. So he beats that at 10.35. And we're seeing the updated numbers. They're going into the far, far decimals. 10.344 for Spraggins, 10.346 for Norris Spike.
That's going into the 1,000ths of a second.
More and more best times. A moment ago, we had the women's 100-meter. Nia Jack beat her personal best by 1/100th of a second, 11.65. Her previous college best was 11.66. So PR is going down seemingly every event here in Prairie View.
This is one of the fastest tracks in the country, and one of the reasons it's new technology, newest track. You spend a little extra money, you get a better product, and right now the student athletes of the Southwestern Athletic Conference are reaping the benefits of that. Our next event on the track will be the women's 800-meter, and we are ready to get started. Looking to see if Arian Spann can pull a double. She comes in with the fastest time for Alabama State and for the conference at 2:10.42. She is in this one. Should be with the fourth around, but right now her teammate, Vanell Grant, has the early lead. Good 29-second 200-meter for the competitors in the women's 800-meter final. Vanell Grant has the early lead, followed by Arian Spann. Spann has already won the 1,500. Can she get the double, the 1,500 and the 800? Right now, it's a two-person race between Hornet and Hornet. She has to make up some points that was lost by Sharmonique Hackney, who did not compete in the 100-meter dash. So I know Coach most likely sent a little message to them, hey, we got to win both of these to get some points back. Bell lap, right now it's all Alabama State. Between Grant and Spann, split was 101.45 for Grant, 101.63 for Spann, Samuels 102.60. So right now it's still a two-lady race between Grant and Spann. Making a real push now for Alabama A&M, Diamond Griffin. She's trying to make a push to dominate third place, but first and second is all Alabama State.
And they're on track to beat the preliminary time. Spann came in at 2:10 in the prelim. 1:01 is her split time after one lap.
And Spann, she's already won the 1,500 meters. She is making the last push in the last 150 meters, extending her lead over her teammate Grant. Coming down the final 100 meters, Arian Spann with the gold headband. She is solid gold today here at Prairie View for the 2019 Women's Outdoor Champion. She has extended her lead. Today is her day, and she walks away with her second gold medal of the afternoon. Grant finishes second, along with Alabama A&M's Diamond Griffin at third. 2:10.226 is your time for Spann.
Grant just about 3 seconds behind her at 2:13.44. Griffin makes the push to finish third at 2:14.23.
Huge points for the Hornets, trying to hold on to the SWAC title they have had for 8 consecutive years. And as you can see, Spann extending that lead and dominating the last 100 meters.
And you can tell by the fatigue that this championship is taking on her. She beats her preliminary time, but she's 2 seconds off her college best in the 800 meters. That was 2:08.06. So hard to be at your best event after event here in May. That personal best, by the way, at the War Eagle Invitational, April of last year.
That's over in Auburn, Alabama. War Eagle, as they say out there. The Tigers who say War Eagle. And you see Grant right there walking off the track. We're getting ready for the men's 800-meter dash. And this one should be highly contested because you do have a lot of fast times. Leading the way will be Wade Garner of Arkansas Pine Bluff, along with his teammate Laurel Heath. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get ready for the men's 800-meter run. You're watching the 2019 Men's and Women's Outdoor Track and Field Championships right here from Prairie View A&M University on the SWAC Digital Network.
A business degree and experience at Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
Men's 800-meter final here at the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Track and Field Championships. James Verrett along with Matt Peterson. And right now we're taking a look at the opening lap of the men's 800-meter run. Leading the way will be Wade Garner and Laurel Heath of Arkansas Pine Bluff. They have the fastest times coming into this event, and they are in the all-white. And Texas Southern, Jacob Price, right there in the maroon. Going to the bell lap, it is Laurel Heath and Wade Garner. Heath leading the way along with Garner.
We have a good of the UAPB track coach just to right, giving instructions to his team as they round the turn.
Garner with the lead, followed by Heath. Alabama State's Andrew Jackson making a push for third, dominating third right now, but it is Wade Garner who has the lead, followed by Heath. Coming to the final 200 meters, pushing it strong, is Wade Garner.
His split time, 53.69. Laurel Heath at 53.97 after one lap.
No doubt about it, leading the way for the last 100 meters, Wade Garner. He is pushing away from everyone. Second place will be a battle. Can Heath hold on? He's getting a lot of pressure. We have Garner as the winner, but second place looks like Alabama State at the edge, able to win. Check that Andrew Jackson finishes second with a time of 1:51. Great time for the champion, Wade Garner, 1:49.65. Finishing third, Alan Johnson, 1:51.49. And finishing fourth, Laurel Heath at 1:51.53. A lot of close times right there, but Garner is your champ.
Indeed. Second place to fourth place, 11 hundredths of a second apart.
But no doubt, Garner is your champion, walking away with that. Huge points for Arkansas Pine Bluff, but also huge points for Alabama State as they try to maintain their lead here for the team title. As we take a look one more time, as he comes down the last curve and the final stretch. You can see the intensity on the face of Garner, and he is pushing himself to make sure he not only wins, but he puts forth a good enough time to get him qualified for regionals, and he's able to walk away with the 2019 800-meter championship.
It's a college best time for Wade Garner. His prior best, 1:49.90, accomplished at the ASU Red Wolf Open, April 19th and 20th. So another PR set here in Prairie View.
And one of the reasons why you have a lot of personal bests, collegiate bests, and SWAC records being broken here at the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Champion is because of the surface that you are looking at right now. We had a chance to talk to Prairie View A&M's coach, the women's coach, about the advantages of having a surface like this here at Prairie View A&M.
Develop better athletes.
Oh my goodness, your surface is your life. The track, the dimensions. You want your athletes not to just compete at the conference. You want them to qualify for Olympics, go to NCAA regionals, go to NCAA. Colleges are not going to go to tracks where they can't run fast. Athletes don't want to go to tracks where they're not going to be able to run fast. And this track has shown in the past 3 years that it's fast. And so athletes love running on it. So it's extremely important that the track is what it is.
Was it icing on the cake to have the U.S. Olympic team train here before they went to Rio?
Yes, that was icing on the cake. To get the stamp of approval on this facility by Olympic caliber athletes was incredible. And since 2016, they've come back again and again and again to compete on this facility at Prairie View Relays.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we're back live here at Prairie View A&M. Good words from her talking about this track. The fact that when you have Olympians, professional athletes, who even after they competed at Rio, they come back to train here and to run so they can get a faster time. That says a lot about this surface and about the completion of this facility for Prairie View.
It's about confidence. It's about testing yourself, making a new PR, challenging yourself a little bit better each and every time. And this is a great hotspot. It's very accessible. You know, within an hour of Houston, Texas, you can fly to Houston from anywhere and then short drive up the road. Beautiful scenic route up Highway 290.
A lot of people don't realize this, but you remember Carl Lewis, Leroy Burrell, they were in Houston first before they went to Santa Monica, but they came back to Houston. And Houston has had a lot of track and field champions. You think about the state of Texas, Baylor, Texas A&M, always a lot of positive outcomes training in the heat of Texas. And now when you have Prairie View, you have a new exquisite track that will provide more opportunities, not only for those professional athletes, but for SWAC athletes to come in and perform at a high level. Our next event on the track will be the women's 400-meter hurdles. Leading the way with the fastest time coming in is Shamaria Lovett. Now remember, we saw her in the the women's 100-meter hurdles. She was able to walk away with that one, and now she's going to run in the 400. This is a little different because now you've got the burden of running 400 meters, but you also have to have the tactical acumen of getting over each hurdle the right way. And right now they are announcing the competitors, giving you the competitors on the 400-meter hurdles. Kayana Evans from Alabama State in lane 1. In lane 2, Maya Green of Alcorn State. In lane 3, Jasmine Gray of Arkansas Pine Bluff. In lane 4, Shamaria Lovett of Alabama State. In lane 5, RJ Johnson of Arkansas Pine Bluff. In lane 6, Ariana Dean of Alabama A&M. In lane 7, Tamisha Neighbors of Alcorn State. And in lane 8, Jahel Cato of Jackson State. Fastest time, once again, is Lovett with 101.69, but also be on the lookout for Arkansas Pine Bluff in lane 5 and in lane 3. a yellow flag. They're still waiting for the white flag to go up, and once that white flag is up, we are ready to get started. They're waiting to make sure they have all of the hurdle the right level so they can get it started. White flag is up, and we're ready to begin the final for the women's 400-meter hurdles. All right, everybody couldn't get ready in time. Good for the starter to bring everyone up so you won't have anyone that says, you know what, I was just standing there too long if they jumped early. Here we go. We're starting again, the women's 400-meter hurdle final. Good even start, and Lovett making her move already, closing the gap, and she is smooth as silk getting over the hurdle. She's already made up ground on 2 of the 4 people in front of her. And now coming around the back stretch, you see Lovett in the white and gold bloomers, and she is moving along and has taken control of this race. No one is even close to her at the present time except her team. Check that in lane. Yes, in lane 1, Kiana Evans. But right now, it is Lovett. Lovett on the hurdles. Back to back, she's winning her second goal of the day. Great time. Finishing unofficially 59 flat, officially 59.46, and followed by her teammate Kiana Evans at 1 minute .71, and Jahil Cato and Dean wrap up the top 4.
Big points for Alabama State, finishing 1-2, as Alabama State entered 13 points back of Prairie View A&M entering this event. We see this. We know this is one of the hardest events in track and field. This and 800-meter hurdles considered 2 of the hardest. Hurdles a little bit lower than the 100-meter hurdles.
And she's able to get over it smooth. And on the final 100 meters, getting over the final 2 hurdles and finishing strong as her teammate gets the runner-up trophy. But for Shamaria Lovett, her second title of the day.
And we know in 400-meter hurdles, endurance is more important than the 400-meter dash. It's just a race to the finish. As you get through the hurdles, that's the hard part. But then mentally, that final stretch where you've done the hard part, but you just got to see the finish line and get there. It just keeps getting further and further away from you seemingly.
And one more time for Lovett, crossing the finish line under a minute in the 400-meter hurdles. Now they have to raise those and get ready for the men's 400-meter hurdle, where our person who is favored has our men's 110 high hurdles, Azaria Foster of Jackson State. And you can see the athletes trying to get their in the blocks, and you see UAPB, it's always important. Remember, this is how you start. Quick start is part of the battle in winning a race on the track. And as our hurdle crew is still trying to get all the hurdles together at the present time. Let's take a look and see where we are right now in our overall half and Prairie View with 83. And as we go over to the women's side, Alabama State now has overtaken Prairie View, but just by 4 points. Alabama State has 149.5 points, Prairie View with 144.5, and they're ahead of Grambling, who has 73. So it is contentious between Prairie View and Alabama State on the women's side.
By the way, just a moment ago, Lovett didn't beat her personal best. That was set last year in the 400-meter hurdles, 57:30, the NCAA East preliminary round in May. So she has NCAA track experience, and she'll hope to get back there again this year.
No doubt about it. And as you can see in lane 4, for Jackson State, Azaria Foster. And this is really one of those events that is a grind because those hurdles are high, speed is key, and proper pacing over each hurdle. Foster has won indoors and outdoors in the sprints. Well, we can see if he can pull it off on the longer distance for the 400-meter hurdles. This is a final.
And as we know, the technicality of the runners isn't as crucial here as in the 100-meter hurdles because it's not as fast. Again, endurance is the key here in the 400. 100 meters, crisp form is key.
And we have a fair start. And we're starting to see Foster make his move. He's already taken over the person that was in lane 5. And coming on to the back curve with a split of 24 seconds. Foster still trying to separate himself from the pack, coming down to the final 100 meters, and here comes Azaria Foster. But he's getting some pushback from Arkansas Pine Bluff, from Malik Smith, and at the tape, it's too close to call. Foster pulls it out barely, and then Mikhail Young-Sanders from Southern with a 52.02, followed by Josiah Jean of Alcorn State at 52.26. But Azaria Foster, he was pushed to the limit, but able to secure that 400-meter championship.
Jackson State, Southern, and Alcorn State, the top 3. Jones of Jackson State just outside the top 3. And this was well contested throughout. They've updated the time, separated by 0.2 of a second. Foster at 41.43. McAlpin at 41.45 of UAPB.
They did give it the runner-up to Rashard McAlpin as they adjust the finals. I thought it was someone from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and I think they saw what I saw. There we go. Yeah, I put that call in. So they have first and second. Jackson State, Pine Bluff, and Southern finishes third, but huge points. And as you see, after an event like that, everyone is a little winded.
Big points for Jackson State. They entered the event 14 points back of Alabama State.
And they're creeping back in to get that 10.
Look how close this finish is.
It looks like McAlpin leaned a little too early.
Yes.
And when you lean too early, it slows your momentum down. And you can see Foster, as a veteran running this event, he knew exactly when to lean. Don't look to your right. Don't look to your left. Look forward. Focus on the finish line, and that's what he did.
Keep your eyes on the prize.
You keep your eye on the prize, and that prize is crossing the finish line faster than the next man. And as you can see, look at his focus, laser focus, and the lean too early. You see how he leans just a little bit too early. Foster right on time, and he's able to walk away with the title in a very, very close race.
You're right. Foster kept his legs going. He kept his left leg lunging forward. That gave him the win. And our updated standings after that, dead even in the men. Alabama State, 143.5. Jackson State, 143.5. Tied for first after 17 scored events.
It's going to get closer and closer. Now they have to take the hurdles off the track. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get ready for our next scheduled event, which is one of the fastest in the country, the women's 200-meter dash. You're watching the 2019 men's and women's SWAC Outdoor Championships right here on the SWAC Digital Network.
At Alabama A&M University. Start here, go anywhere.
Physically jumps over a person who is jumping also. He jumped so high, the guy who was jumping to try to defend the pass ducked because he jumped over his body. Caught the ball and ran into the end zone.
Oh, my gosh.
He didn't jump and hit the ground. Oh. And now we're ready for the women's 200-meter dash. Crucial event here, and Nia Jack with the fastest time at 23.97. Huge points available for Alabama State. And coming down to the final 100 meters, and it looks like it will be Gray from Texas Southern. But bidding a bit push is Jack. Jack is making the push at the tape. We're not sure who pulls it off, depending on how it goes on. Nia Jack comes back and wins 23.73, just 1/100th of a second better than Alexis Gray. Huge points for Alabama State. They dethrone Alexis Gray. The reigning champion, Nia Jack, wins the 200-meter title for Alabama State.
Huge cheers from Texas Southern off to our right, supporting Alexis Gray, and right next to them, the tent of Alabama State. Now, we know with the 200 meters that getting out of the blocks isn't as important as the 100 meters. It's still a full-out sprint. You must come out powerful, and you really feel it the last 50 to 100 meters. And Gray just may have, as Jack overtook her over those final 50 meters.
She pushed it, and at the tape, she ran all the way through. I think that's what helped Jack win it, because she was able to push through. She did not lean. She just ran through the finishing line and was able to eke out a victory. Huge for Nia Jack.
Yeah, one of those keys, stretch out your legs with all the power you have left towards the finish.
And that's exactly what she did, because Gray had a commanding lead in the 200 meters. You know, just a meter is a commanding lead, but Jack comes on strong at the end and just pushes, and walks away with the title. And now we're getting ready for the men's 200-meter dash. Men's 200-meter dash. Fastest time coming in, Laval Davis, 21.2, and Samuel Omaria at 21.07. So lane 4, lane 5, this is the home track for Sam Omaria. And for Laval Davis, this is most likely the fastest track he's ever been on in his college career.
Another college best time for Nia Jack. Her previous best, 24:21, and she obliterates it at 23:73, and she needed every hundredth of a second there. So congratulations to Jack, another PR.
No doubt about it. As they say, you want to have your fastest time at the right time. You know, it's sort of like the Olympics. You can have one of the fastest times going in, but if you don't do it at the finals, you don't get the gold. And take a looking at the team standings for women. Alabama State 164.5 and Prairie View 145.5. And now we're getting ready for the men's 200 meter, and they're trying to get in their lanes now. Remember, favored is Samuel Omaria. This is his home track, but he'll be pushed by Laval Davis in lane 5. And rather strange, in lane 2, we had Artis McCoy of Southern. He is running without using his blocks. He basically was running standing up. And now coming down the backstretch we go, Davis. And in lane 6, Spraggins, Kevin Spraggins comes out of nowhere and wins the men's 200-meter dash with a time of 21.05. His fastest time coming in was just 21.63. He comes out of nowhere and regains a title that he was in the running for 3 years ago. Huge points for Alabama State. They weren't counting on those, but they were able to get them on this race. Good even start. And it looks like Davis is going to have it because he commands the curve. But then coming out of nowhere in lane 6, you see Spraggins and you see the fans rooting him on, and he just out sprints the competition. He knew it beyond a shadow of a doubt he had it.
He nearly matches his college best time. That was 20.88. He finishes 21.05 here today. 8 hundredths of a second faster than Samuel Omiera.
Taking a look now at the women's 200-meter award ceremony. You see Nia Jack right there and Gray for Texas Southern, who finished second. And, yeah, they're a little fatigued, and Jack's trying to ward off some of those love bugs that are out here in the plains in the Prairie View. In the prairies, I should say. You know, in Texas, no plains, it's prairies. And right now they're getting pictures together. Now for the men's side, Alabama State right now has a lead, but Prairie View is about 15 to 20 points behind. We had a chance to talk to Prairie View A&M's coach about the fact that his team is young, but he still thinks they have a shot.
You hold on to it this year.
Just keep executing. I told the guys, you know, each championship is going to be hard. There's no such thing as an easy championship. So we continue to fight, we continue to execute, and we know coming in SWAC it's going to be a dogfight.
And he's expecting a dogfight, and right now, today especially, it's been a dogfight because we've seen Jackson State, we've seen Prairie View really try to come up to the point totals of Alabama State. And as we look at the totals for men after 18 events, it is Alabama State with 156.5 points, but Jackson State is right there at 154.5. Now, Prairie View may not be in the running this year, but that is a respectable showing so far at 91 points when you really have a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and you really have one senior in Arroyo who just ran in the 200 meters.
Keeps them in the top three, builds confidence for the future years, saying, hey, we're right there as underclassmen. What can we accomplish later in our college careers?
And let's take a look at some of the past performances of the past 2 days, a little bit of the scenery of the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Men's and Women's Track and Field Championships. And that is the end goal in order to walk away with one of the coveted gold medals that you can have over your mantle. You can keep it in your office. That's something that is a great conversation piece, but it is a symbol of how much hard work pays off in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And we're getting ready now for the women's 5,000 meter. We're going to get this one started before we take a break, because remember, we just have just about 3 more events on the track before we wrap things up. We are moving at light speed this afternoon. Good for our officials here at the Southwestern Athletic Conference, able to stay on time, actually a little bit ahead of time, because we have great weather here in Southeast Texas at Prairie View A&M campus, and the track has been exemplary. So with that, that means that we are doing everything on time. Now, fastest time coming into today's track will be Angelica Jacobs with 19.9, and also Winnie Chichir of Grambling with 19.12, along with Hannah Mesador. They have started the women's 5,000 meters. This is a long race, and this is a race in which it's not only mental, it's physical, right, Matt?
Very, very mental, very physical. Most cross-country athletes will run this. It's about endurance and pacing, and we talked about the kick in a prior event. When you make your kick here, when you leave it all out there, because it's one of those where you have to stay in the pack, can't fall too far behind, and oftentimes the person leading through the first few laps is not leading at the end.
Sometimes teams, particularly in conference meets, will send someone out as a rabbit. Right now we have Mariah Archibald. She came in with a time of 19:23.97. She is your early leader, but right behind her from Grambling is Winnie Chinchir at 19:12. She the fastest times coming in, and sometimes teams will try to draw everyone out early. You send somebody run as hard as approach our second lap. We have Alabama State followed by and we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get you up to date on the women's 5,000 meter. You're watching the 2019 Men's and Women's Outdoor Track and Field Championships right here on the SWAC Digital Network.
We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Honor the heritage.
Welcome back to the 2019 Men's and Women's Outdoor Southwestern Athletic Conference Track and Field Championships. James Barrett along with Matt Peterson, and right now with a pace of 9 minutes and 40 seconds and counting, with a lap pace of 1 minute 35.54 seconds. Your leader right now is Winnie Chinchir, and her teammates Naomi Kiprop and Halima Chipwani are all in the top 3. Now, you've got a lot of people running on the track, but these are crucial team points because in the women's standings, after 18 events, let's get those scores up, it is Alabama State and Prairie View 164 to 145. Grambling is in fourth with 73 points, followed by Texas Southern. So everyone needs as many points as possible. And right now, Grambling's trying to dominate because if they do that and get their points here, they could move up to take a solid third place point.
And now you can see the fatigue setting in. Some athletes in front of us laboring in their movements, winding down their final event of the weekend for many of these athletes. And it's a sort of a battle of attrition at this point with 6 laps to go. Cheer and Kiprop both averaging about 1:31.36 per lap. But a 2-second lead right now for Cheer with 6 laps to go. And first to sixth separated by about 14 seconds. So I'd say any of those 6 or so are in contention here depending on a late kick. You make up 1 second per lap, you can be right there at the end.
No doubt about it. And it is Chinchilla who is leading the way with 5 laps left to go.
Yeah, her last lap time, 1:34.37. So she's very steady in that 1:34 range. 6-second lead over Kiprop. So Churchier in pole position here with 5 laps left.
And while we, while we have the time, let's take a look at some of the previous champions from the last 2 days here at the 2019 SWAC Outdoor Champions. And we're going to start with the men, and as you can see, Vincent Lengat with a 31:59.75 win, his second in the row in the men's 10,000. That's normally run on that first day late at night because they're running. And he finished 30 seconds ahead of the person who finished in second place. We move on to the next. Men's decathlon, Sudi Rodriguez Weems. And he finished with 6,661 points. He won the long jump, the pole vault during the decathlon competition, but more importantly, those total points helped him to win the championship. We move on to the next. And Miles Dortch, he had a record throw of 52.25 meters to win the event, but he is back-to-back. And he also won in another event. We move on to the next champion. And there's Miles again. He has a record throw of 56.5, and he has won the javelin 3 years in a row. And when you're winning that and the hammer, that's showing that this young man is versatile and very coordinated when it comes to field events. We move on to the next in the shot put. Caesar Kemp, who also won the discus. He won this event and was 2.5 meters ahead of the runner-up. He was back-to-back outdoor champion, and he also won the shot put in indoors. We move on to the next event. And Jamie Brown, hardest working man in the long jump pit. In the men's steeplechase, Luis Del Rio, he finishes with a time of 9 minutes, 57.1 seconds to win the race, his first collegiate career victory. He has been second place, but he finally gets over the hump in the steeplechase, literally over the hump for that one. Now for the women's champions over the last few days. And Halima Chipkwani from Kenya and Grambling State. She wins the 10,000 meter. And in 2017, she was the most outstanding track performer. Why? Because she competes not only in the 10,000, but all of the distance events for Grambling State. We move on to the next. In the women's heptathlon, Sophia Jean, she had a meet record, 5,725 points in the event, and she basically dominated the heptathlon. She won the long jump, 100-meter hurdles, high jump, javelin, and shot put. That is impressive. We move on to the next champion, Katherine Jackson. She cleared 5.9, actually leaped 5.99 and set a personal best and winning the championship. But more importantly, it was her two teammates that helped her start a clean sweep of the long jump for the Panthers of Prairie View A&M. In the women's shot put, Typha Saunders had a throw of 15 meters, and she's also won this event indoors, but congratulations to her and Mississippi Valley to help bring some points to Idabina. And on to the next in the steeplechase, as we said, Halima Chipkwani. She won, and she was runner-up last year. And now let's go off to the track. We are winding down the women's 5,000. Yes?
And I've been tracking this as you went through the previous winners. Cheer is amazingly consistent. She's been at that 135 clip every lap, the last few laps. She's built up a sizable lead now over Kiprop, but amazing watching her lap others. But right around 135 to keep up that pace lap after lap in this heat is very impressive.
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of the Grambling distance runners come from Kenya. That is a sport of national pride, running the distance races. It is so popular that other athletes from other countries go to Kenya just to train to improve their time so they can one day represent their country in the Olympics. But you have to think about this for Kenyans. They have a lot of distance runner, marathon runners who end up winning the New York Marathon, Boston Marathon, other marathons. They win cars, money, things of that nature. So it is something that is a trickle-down effect that everybody in Kenya wants to run. Why? Because it has been proven it is a ticket to a not only better life, but a different life. Get you out of Kenya into who knows where you can go. Some come to Grambling.
Absolutely. It's been Cheer and Kiprop, and now Chepkwani 1, 2, 3. Chepkwani is cutting into Kiprop a little bit. 12 seconds back with 2 seconds to go. So that might be the most interesting part of this final two laps. Kiprop or Chepkwani for second. Kibbet of Grambling is in fourth, 6 seconds off the pace.
And Chinchir, bell lap for Chinchir. And we'll see if she can increase her pace right now. She may just stay on pace.
And her last split time, 1:35.44. She has been right there. I mean, she has to have a clock in her mind that tells her she is right on pace.
She's sort of like my daughter. I have a daughter that wakes up at 5:30 in the morning like clockwork. She is my alarm clock. Daddy, I'm up. I'm like, okay, thank you so very much. All right, Winnie Chinchir right now leading the way. And athletes will respectfully move out of her way, or she'll go around them. And her teammates are running, say about 100 meters behind her, but those are huge points for Grambling. And at the 120-meter mark, it is Chinchir. She will be running all by herself, and the crowd will give her a hand as she will be the 2019 Women's Champion.
She's trying to approach her personal best time of 19:12.47. She'll be just behind it.
Your 5,000-meter women's champion, Winnie Chinchir, winning time 19:14.70. Congratulations to Winnie Chinchir.
Her average lap time 1:29.49.
And Grambling makes a clean sweep. Second and third. Chepkwani finishes second, and Kiprop finishes third. Chepkwani may have enough points to get most valuable track because she's already won the steeplechase and the 10,000 meters and finished fourth in the 1,500 and now second in the 5,000 along with Kiprop.
Yeah, Chepquaney closed well. I thought it was average split time. It's the final lap time. So Cheer ran her final lap in 1:29.49. Chepquaney did it in 1:25.44, 6 seconds better than teammate Kiprop. So Kiprop was in second going into the bell lap. She made up that 6 second difference to win by 3. So what a finish. Final lap 1:25 for Chepquaney to finish second.
And her athletic director, Rusty Ponton, is going over there to congratulate. He just became the athletic director in November, or check that, December of 2018, and he's walking as close as he can behind the barrier to congratulate his athletes. And right now, we're seeing the end for Alabama State and Prairie View athletes trying to finish strong. And it was Prairie View A&M's athletes trying to finish. Remember, every point counts.
And by the way, Cheer, her personal best, 19:12.47, accomplished a month ago at the Louisiana Tech Jim Mize Invitational. She finished fourth that day, but a PR of 19:12.47.
And our hearts go out and prayers go out to those in Grambling and in Ruston. They had a tornado that went through that area a little bit, about a month ago now. There was a few fatalities in the town of Ruston, but a lot of people don't realize Grambling and Ruston are about 5 or 6 miles away or less, and Grambling did sustain some damage, but no life loss. But definitely they are in rebuild mode up there in North Louisiana.
Louisiana Tech lost its baseball field, among other facilities.
Yes, they did lose their baseball field, which will be interesting because I know they'll have their tournament coming up. And we have the final athlete crossing the finish line, and congratulations to them and for Angelica for finishing the race. And now next up will be the men's 5,000 meter. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll get you ready for the men's 5,000 meter run. You're watching live coverage of the 2019 SWAC Men's and Women's Outdoor Track and Field Championships right here on the SWAC Digital Network.
To use it wisely. All corn, where knowledge and character matter.
Welcome back to live coverage of the 2019 Men's and Women's SWAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. James Verrett along with Matt Peterson, and what you're seeing now is the men's pole vault, and there are two competitors left in the men's pole vault, and it is becoming a little bit of a competition within the competition right there at the mat.
Yeah, Ham became a star here last year. It went on for a few hours. He got the Viking clap going, as we see oftentimes with European soccer teams like Iceland. But it was fun. It was something that kind of went ongoing with the track events, sort of in between, and the crowd got involved. The athletes from multiple teams spurred him on, so he's looking for a repeat performance this year.
And right now, they're trying to get some separation between the two top competitors in that event, which is ongoing, and they've been going on really since we've started the running events. And right now, not exactly sure where they have the height Let me see if I can find that out. It is right now at 5.5 meter is the standard. Now they're at 5.15. 5 meters 15, about 16 feet is the attempt for Prairie View, for Tristan Ham.
And his record last year was 5.12 meters. First place. He's a heptathlete, but last year on this day, it was one of the highlights of the afternoon, not taking anything away from the track and field events, but it just went ongoing, and he was going against himself. The other competitors had been disqualified by that point. So he was really testing himself, and he finished at 16 feet, 9.5 inches.
Oh, and he misses, and that would have been his personal best at 5.15, which would have been 16 feet.
Yeah, last year was kind of the perfect storm with the atmosphere around it.
And you can see the fatigue on his body. He is bent over and like, wait a minute, can I continue on and try to get over this height of 16 feet?
Quite the athlete. You look at his college bests, all sorts of events, 100 meter, 400, 1500, hurdles, high jump, heptathlete, decathlon, shot put. I mean, everything that goes into being a multi-talented track and field athlete.
But he does have some competition today. And we're also preparing for the men's 5,000. And also still in the competition for the pole vault is Zachary Mosley.
She did a little something in that 15-2. How about a big hand for Halima Chipwane of Grambling, 1934-34. And your champion.
The current leader from Heat 1 is Suni Rodriguez-Weems, 5.08 meters. So Ham's got a ways to go. As we mentioned, he's trying to go at 5.15 meters, which would be a personal record.
And we're getting ready for the 5,000 meter. Fastest time coming in there is Hillary Kiprop of Grambling at 16:10, and also Luis Del Real at 16:08. So those should be our top two competitors. And helping them out, now DeReal doesn't have a lot of help, but for Grambling, they have 1, 2, 3 athletes involved, Noah Ragu and Jeremiah Kim Ellie. All right, and another attempt at 16. And did not hold on to it is Zachary Mosley.
Top 3 in the men and women's 400-meter hurdles. Please report to the award stand.
Not sure if they're going to try one more time at 16 feet.
Looks like we're going to have one section, then 5,000 meters, and then we move to the 4x400-meter relay.
And this was scheduled to have a 2-section final, but looks like we have a number of athletes in the second section who decided not to compete. So they've merged everyone into the one section for the men's 5,000 meters. So this will be they've most likely updated the heat. So let's see if we can find that out. And see if our favorites are still competing. And it looks like it's all in one. And, yeah, looks like we may not. Kiprop is still in there. Kimeli and Ragu, they're still in there. And Luis Del Real, he is still in for Texas Southern. So all of our main competitors are in. The second section will not compete today. And we'll have it all in one group of 18 runners. And the pole vault, still 2 Prairie View athletes still competing. So these are the last 2 events before we get to the final and most competitive, which is the 4x400 meters. And for the men and women, it's still within reach, particularly for the men. For the men, Jackson State, Alabama State are vying for the title. And 2 points separate them. Alabama State has the lead. Now, that's after 18 events have been scored. So this event, the 5,000 meters, is very important. Now, remember, we have some Grambling folks, but we do not have anyone. Well, we have one person from Alabama State. And when we look at Jackson State, they're not going to get any points in the 5,000. So for Alabama State, if they can get 1 point, it's huge. And they're trying to make sure that they stay on time. Now, a lot of people will say, why not just start it because you're at the next one? You have to remember, we have athletes who need time to rest. If you don't get that time, then you're not going to perform at a high level. You see the young man in the white with the white headband, he just ran in the 1,500. And that was the young man for Alabama State, and he was in the second heat, Joshua Coughlin. Remember, we were merging 2 sections, so he is in that final section. Coughlin was the winner of the 1,500, which means he still needs that time to rest. That's one of the reasons why you start on your scheduled time, because remember, an athlete's body, particularly track and field, it's like a machine. And trainers, coaches have time to say, all right, it takes you this amount of time to recover. So this is how the track and field community keeps everything on pace. And we're just waiting for the white flag to come up, and we're only going to have one section. They merged sections 1 of the 5,000 meters, so they're only going to run one race. Previously, it was going to be a final against time, but now this will be a final for the win. And we have merged, so once they start running, and we will be able to identify some of the athletes because they have merged. And I'll give you the list right now of the athletes who are competing. Tashin Agby of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Luis Del Real, who's already run the 10,000 meters, Jeremiah Kimley of Grambling, Kashawn Jarvis of Southern, Titus Keeby of Alcorn, and from Prairie View, Worthington Moore, from Pine Bluff, DeAndre Mighty, and from Southern, Nixon Kipling Muhindi, and from Grambling, Noah Ragu, and from Grambling, Hillary Kiprop, and from Alabama State, Matthew Kibbett, from Texas Southern, Jorge Marinez. We are ready to start. And they're off. Rounding off the field, Levante Williams from Prairie View.
And Kofeld, who you mentioned, he was the 1,500-meter champion at a time of 4 minutes, 58 seconds. So a well-earned rest for him after he won that event just about 2 hours ago. And if you look at the exact time, that event ended about 2 hours ago. So they might need a 2-hour rest between events.
No doubt about it. And they've updated the list to make it 22 athletes, and Hillary Mayo and along with Joshua have been added to that group. Joshua Coughlin. And the early leader from Jackson State, Henry Kiplagat. He's your early leader. Oh, and we have an athlete that just went down. An athlete just went down on the back curve. And he did get up and continue. And not exactly sure which athlete hit the ground, but he did get up and continue to run. Jackson State is 1-2, followed by Grambling. Check that, followed by, yes, Grambling. Jackson State, followed by Grambling, Alabama State, and Texas Southern is your leader group. And for Jackson State, these are huge points if they want to win the team title, and that is Henry Kiplagat, and also for Jackson State, Vincent Lengat.
1:10.75, the split time for the first lap for Langat.
And we're going to see the replay of the fall. And they're coming to the back stretch, and he hit the ground. Nobody else hit, but he looks like he got stepped on also. Yeah, looks like his teammate may have stepped on him, but he was able to get up, and I think that was from Alabama State, and that was Matthew Kibbett. And right now, Matthew Kibbett is back in. He's currently in 5th place. So for somebody to fall down, get up, and currently in 5th place, that's not bad.
This would be crucial for Jackson State. They're 1-2 right now with many laps to go.
And looks like somebody did hit him, and that's incidental contact. But he did fall, but right now he's currently in 5th place. Incredible for that Alabama State Hornet. And right now, Jackson State is trying to figure out a way to get some extra points. They are 1-2 in the heat.
And 2 points back of Alabama State entering this event.
Lenga and also Kiplagat of Jackson State are your early leaders. And these points will be crucial for Jackson State as they attempt to dethrone the 2017 champion, which is Alabama State. Right now, our current champion is Prairie View A&M, but they are too many points behind the 2 leaders in the team standings, which is Jackson State in 2nd and Alabama State, who is in 1st. They're separated by about 10 points. Or less than 10, about 5 points. And right now, it looks like Jackson State and Grambling has separated themselves securely from the pack. We do have one Prairie View athlete that is in 5th, along with an Alabama State Hornet who has fallen behind to 6th. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll show the final few laps of the men's 5,000 meter. You're watching men's and women's track and field championships, 2019 edition from Prairie View A&M University, right here on the SWAC Digital Network. And we're back with live coverage of the men's 5,000 meter run. James Verrett along with Matt Peterson, and we are here at the 2019 Outdoor SWAC Men's and Women's Track and Field Championships. This is the men's 5,000 meter, and right now it looks like it is Jackson State and Grambling dueling it out for the title, and Jackson State with the lead.
Unofficially, Vincent Land got about a half-second lead over Devontae Davis. Some of the official splits seem to be off, but we do know it's Landgat and Davis 1-2. And this is really a battle of attrition. We mentioned the two combined heats, some athletes dropping out. We have the tumble on the first lap. But after a full season, it's coming down to this for many of these runners and trying to empty the tank and deciding when to kick with 3 laps to go.
And it looks like Davis from Grambling has fallen back. And looks like Langatti will be all by him lonesome to wrap this up.
15-minute, 50-second pace now. Come on, let's keep him encouraged. They've been working hard all weekend. Friday, Saturday, and today.
And impressive because these athletes now are really running in the hottest part of the track meet today. It's been relatively cool for Texas standards, windy, but now the heat is coming in, the wind is dying down.
And the sun is fierce. We have the luxury of having an overhead tent, but I walked out to get some information during our break, and just spending a minute or two under the Texas sun was intense. Many of the athletes have umbrellas. Some of the fans have umbrellas. All the spectators are under the shade. So on that track, there's extra heat from the synthetic surface. It is hot.
Very good. But some like it hot. That's what Robert Palmer said.
Yes.
And he is coming down the home stretch is Vincent Langat.
It's coming down to these last few events for the men's team rankings.
Jackson State's Langat trying to get essential points for his team to get them closer to a team title. The individual title will be his, but the more important title for his team and for those who support Jackson State is that team title. Bell lap for Vincent.
Third and fourth versus second there. They're running together. And there he goes. There's his son. Son now in the lead.
And now we've got Lengat and Chipquani.
Chipquani in the lead.
Chipquani has taken the lead. Henry Chipquani for Grambling has taken the lead over Lengat on the bell lap.
Wearing number 21 with the black shirt.
And now it looks like it's going to be Chipquani. It's been a family affair. Levante Williams of Prairie View trying to make a push, but it is Chipquani who is your champion. And a battle for second. Prairie View A&M will finish second. And third will be Jackson State. And a fourth for Jackson State. So Chipquani comes out of nowhere and wins. Levante Williams from Prairie View gets second. Henry Kiplagat gets third. And Vincent Lengat gets fourth. And right now, not sure who'll get fifth. Looks like Devontae Davis gets fifth, and then Joshua Coughlin gets sixth. That is important because in the team standings, that will propel Jackson State into the lead going into the 4x400 meters.
Top 8 each record points here in the 5,000 meter run. And how about this final split for the top two? Chipquani 110.70 in the final lap. Levante Williams of Prairie View 110.52 in his final lap. And that was the margin of victory. Williams 6 seconds better than Kiplagat, and that was the difference in their split on the final lap. So they went toe-to-toe and really pushed each other. 110 final lap in the 5,000 meter run.
And that's what you want to see. Competition at its highest level, intense. Each athlete pushing the next athlete, propelling them to better times. And those times were performed here at Prairie View A&M's track, which is one of the fastest in the country. And we had a chance, if we still have that sound, to talk to the head women's track coach for Prairie View A&M about the advantages of having a track that's this fast.
In order to develop better athletes.
Oh my goodness, your surface is your life. The track, the dimensions. You want your athletes not to just compete at the conference. You want them to qualify for Olympics, go to NCAA regionals, go to NCAA. Colleges are not going to go to tracks where they can't run fast. Athletes don't want to go to tracks where they're not going to be able to run fast. And this track has shown in the past 3 years that it's fast. And so athletes love running on it. So it's extremely important that the track is what it is.
Was it icing on the cake to have the U.S. Olympic team train here before they went to Rio?
Yes, that was icing on the cake. To get the stamp of approval on this facility by Olympic caliber athletes was incredible. And since 2016, they've come back again and again and again to compete on this facility at Prairie View Relays.
And this fast track will be put to the test now because we're ready for the women's 4x400 meter relay. And this will be a final.
And quickly here, just went over to the Alabama State team bench right behind us. Joshua Kofeld finished sixth. He was not expected to finish that high. They were urging him on. We could hear his teammates screaming, "Go Daniel." It's one of his nicknames. But we'll see if there's a point or two difference. Joshua Kofeld, known as Daniel by his teammates, was really encouraged down the stretch. And he was 2 hours removed from the 1,500 meter victory. And you could see when the team points really come into it.
Now we're ready for the women's 4x400 meter. Fastest time coming in is Alabama State. And we do have a fair start. 4x400 meter, our final event for the women's 2019 Outdoor SWAC Track and Field Championship. Grambling, Mississippi Valley, Jackson State, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Remember, this is in two sections. First section is the slower section of the two. So Arkansas Pine Bluff, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley, and Grambling. Then the second section will be Alcorn State, Southern, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. As we take a look at the scores, right now, after 20 events, it is Alabama State 167.5, Prairie View 148. So right now, even if they won, it would not be enough to overtake Alabama State. So right now, you're looking at a strong finish, and right now in the first section, after the first exchange, we have Arkansas Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley, first and second, followed by Jackson State and Grambling. Now they can make their break and run on the inside lane.
It's very interesting. Going back to the point on the men's race, it's now a 5-point lead. Alabama State over Jackson State, 170.5 to 165.5. And we heard Go Daniel the entire race. He got 3 points for Alabama State. So we'll see if they win by 3 points or less. That could be the difference.
Coming down the final straightaway, it is Pine Bluff followed by Valley. Good exchange. It is still Pine Bluff followed by Valley. Then Jackson State. Grambling bringing up the rear and trying to make up a lot of space between the leader and Grambling. And we've got some movement. Looks like Mississippi Valley trying to make a move on Arkansas Pine. And Mississippi Valley at the exchange. Jackson State with the lead, followed by Pine Bluff and Mississippi Valley. Grambling in fourth. Mississippi Valley leading the way in second, but Jackson State leading all teams on the track right now.
Jackson State a split of 57-31 on the last lap, so they have a half-second lead, 252.49 to 253.04 over Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Jackson State, Arkansas Pine Bluff now in second, Mississippi Valley in third. And Jackson State wins the first heat, followed by Mississippi Valley.
350.86 for Jackson State. Arkansas Pine Bluff a second behind a 351.87. And Mississippi Valley State followed by Grambling.
And as they say, that was the warm-up. The time to beat, 350. Section 2, which will be the faster section. Lane 2, Alcorn State. Lane 3, Southern. Lane 4, Alabama State. Lane 5, Alabama A&M. Lane 6, Prairie View A&M. And in Lane 7, Texas Southern. This will be a personal battle between Prairie View A&M and Alabama State. Even if they cannot, and you see the replay of the end of that race, as that will be the official time to beat, 350. And Grambling State coming in fourth in that heat. Now it will be up to the remaining teams to beat the 3:50 time. All the teams have come in under that, except for Texas Southern, who was at 3:51. And we have an even fair start. Favored in this one is Alabama State, but look for Prairie View to put up a good fight.
All right, Kiki. Such a fun event to watch. The natural gait of these runners. Beautiful long stride. Just flying across the hot track.
Prairie View A&M with the early lead. They're running for pride, running for points. Texas Southern in second. First exchange. It is Alabama State and Prairie View. And we're going to come to the point where we can make the break, and we're going to give that break over to Alabama State. Alabama State has the early lead, followed by Prairie View and Southern University. Alabama A&M and Texas Southern round out the field. And now it's a three-way fight. But look at Prairie View. Prairie View A&M stretching it out, followed by Southern University and Alabama State. Next exchange, it is the Panthers. The purple and gold have the lead. Prairie View A&M, Southern, followed by Alabama A&M and Alabama State. There's a big push by Southern University. Now they have regained the lead. It is the Southern Jaguars with the lead, and Alabama State is riding their coattails literally and have surpassed Prairie View A&M. Now it is Alabama State. Alabama State pushing it, showing their championship prowess. They have the lead on the gun lap. Final lap, it is the Hornets, followed by Southern and Prairie View.
What a split, 53-79, that last lap from Alabama State to go from fourth to first.
Alabama State going for 9 straight team titles. This will seal the deal for Richie Bean and his squad. Alabama State showing that they're not tired. They're not complacent. Flexing their muscle. Southern Jaguars in second, Prairie View A&M in third, and now it's all Hornets. Alabama State comes from behind and blows out the competition. Southern in second and Prairie View third, followed by Alabama A&M.
The last two splits, 53 and 54 seconds. Alabama State wins with a time of 3:41.08.
And that should put the black and gold of Alabama State, the Lady Hornets, over the top to win title number 9 as they continue to dominate the decade, Hornet style.
Yeah, they had a 19-point lead entering this event over Prairie View A&M, and they finished atop.
Now we'll be ready, and you see the end on the replay. No doubt about it. Alabama State came from being basically in third place to take over and dominate. So now we're getting ready for the men's 4x400 meter. Now this will be one heat rather than two. In lane 1, we'll have Southern University. Lane 2, Texas Southern. Lane 3, with a time of 3 minutes 13 seconds, Arkansas Pine Bluff. In lane 4, with a time of 3 minutes 12.04, is Alabama State. In lane 5, we have Jackson State with a time of 3 minutes 12.12. In lane 6, Pine Bluff with a time of 3:14. Lane 7, we have Mississippi Valley State. And in lane 8, Grambling. Now, it's important to note that Alabama State has a 5-point lead.
5-point lead, 170.5 to 165.5.
So Jackson, to be safe, needs to win the 4x400 meter and make sure that Alabama State finishes 6th or worse.
Which makes what Josh Kofeld just did so important, to give them that extra 3-point cushion. By placing and getting those extra 3 points, it made that cushion so much more difficult.
Which means this will be a crowded track. Remember, last event, the women's 4x400 meter, because they had more teams, they had it in 2 sections. The men, they're all in one section. All 8 lanes will be filled. Starter has control, and we're ready for our final running event. Track and field excitement at its best here at Prairie View A&M. And we have a fair start, 8 lanes across. We're looking for Jackson State, Alabama State, teams vying for the team title. Individually, Alabama State, Jackson State with the fastest times coming in. Early on, looks like Jackson State, Alabama State, along with Prairie View A&M are making the biggest move. Coming down the final 100 of the first leg, Alabama State, Jackson State, Prairie View. At the first exchange, Alabama State has the first exchange along with Jackson State. And right now, Alabama State flexing their muscle with the early lead, followed by Texas Southern and Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Oh, you got a 1. This is it.
Right now, Alabama State feeling the heat. Texas Southern, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and now out of nowhere, Mississippi Valley. Here comes the Delta Devils, now in second place. Texas Southern, followed by the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State, and now Arkansas Pine Bluff. Jackson State and Alabama State 4th, 5th.
Split times. Texas Southern 134 through 2 laps. Mississippi Valley State 135 through 2 laps. Arkansas Pine Bluff right behind them. And then Jackson State followed by Alabama State.
Coming down the backstretch on the second leg. Texas Southern trying to maintain Arkansas Pine Bluff. It's Pine Bluff, Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley, Alabama State, Jackson State. All right, Pine Bluff trying to see if they can flex their muscle, but Texas Southern right on their heels, Mississippi Valley and Alabama State. Now for Jackson State, they're going to have to make a huge push because they need the points. Right now, Arkansas Pine Bluff, they dominated the middle distance. They dominated the 400 along with Mississippi Valley, and you're showing that right now. Right now, it is Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley, Texas Southern, Alabama State, and Jackson State. It was a close one. 307 for Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley at 308. Alabama State got the points that they needed by 1/100th of a second over Texas Southern. Jackson State finishes disappointingly in 5th place, followed by Southern.
What a race. Arkansas Pine Bluff, 3:07.67 the winning time. Now Alabama State, 5-point cushion, and they stay in front of Jackson State in the final race.
Outstanding event, an outstanding finish to this track meet. But it looks like it will be a sweep for Alabama State, men and women in the team title. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll see about the final team number totals, and we'll see about the team award. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2019 Southwestern Athletic Conference Outdoor Men's and Women's Track and Field Championships right here on the SWAC Digital Network.